These are three of my super deep stash breakout running backs for fantasy football in 2023 that nobody is talking about and probably are going undrafted in some of your leagues. If you're looking to find those super deep sleepers to take an edge over your friends, you're on the right video. And the first running back I want to talk about on this list is Deuce Vaughn of the Dallas Cowboys. At the moment, he is one of the backups to Tony Pollard in this Cowboys backfield, but I'm surprised nobody is talking about him, and let me explain why you should be thinking of him in these drafts. I do want to start out by saying there is still a chance that the Cowboys go out and re-sign Zeke or sign another running back to back up Pollard, but until then, let me explain why I think Deuce Vaughn can be the backup to Tony Pollard. Now, I don't completely trust Pollard to be that guy for Dallas. He did have over 500 carries and 2,300 total yards out of the backfield last season. And with Zeke leaving, some of that is going to open up, but it's not all going to be Tony Pollard's work. Probably not even 80% of it, if we're being honest. In the second round where he's being drafted, I think he is one of the more risky running backs. And me personally, and a general rule of thumb I like to follow, is in the first couple rounds, you want to go a little bit more safe. And in the later rounds, you can start taking that risk. But Tony Pollard is not going to take the workhorse role that we wish he could. Historically, the Cowboys have always kept him to a minutes restriction and a carry restriction, even during the games that Zeke is missing. Now, whether that was because they wanted to keep Zeke's draft stock high or just not exhaust Tony Pollard, I still don't believe it's going to happen this year. And if we look at the running back room for Dallas right now, we have Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn, Ronald Jones, and Malik Davis, really. And it kind of looks like there's a good amount of players there to beat out to be that number 2 behind Pollard, but let me explain why he will be that number 2. He was dominant in Kansas State, and he got drafted in the 6th round by the Cowboys this year, and he led his team in receiving and touchdowns as well as a running back. If we look at the guys he has to beat out, Ronald Jones, number 1, hasn't been a super consistent or reliable guy in his 5-year NFL career. He's had the opportunities, but just hasn't capitalized on them. So I can rule him out for overtaking Deuce Vaughn. Malik Davis is sort of in the same situation. He got some garbage time snaps for the Cowboys last year, but hasn't really done an insane amount with that number. The Cowboys also have an extremely early Week 7 bye, which is great for us because historically, teams like to get their rookies more involved after their bye week. The Cowboys saw some kind of potential in Deuce Vaughn to take him in the 6th round, and considering how open this backfield is, an ADP of 250 is just wild. His value will probably go up during training camp as the fantasy football season gets closer. But if you're taking a shot at the backup to Tony Pollard and an ADP of 250, I'm all for it. Our next super sleeper here is Jerome Ford, and I'm loving him this season, backing up Nick Chubb. Dearness Johnson is now in Miami, and Kareem Hunt is off the team. Now, I think Chubb will be more of a bell cow than Pollard will be, but there still is going to be a couple secondary snaps for Jerome Ford. But what I love in this situation is that Demetric Felton is the only running back he has to beat out to get these secondary snaps. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, and he could really be a complimentary piece behind Chubb. The Browns running back coach has also come out and said Ford has the ability to do anything and everything in this backfield that he wants. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to overtake Chubb, but he is a great handcuff if you want to draft Chubb, and just a good player in general at this very low ADP. But my third running back on this list, and maybe the deepest of the sleepers, is Leonard Fournette, and let me explain to you why. I've heard absolutely nobody talk about him, and this might be a good thing. He's come out and said that he wants to be picked up by a contender, and that obviously will put him in a better situation. But he's going as the RB65, and you can pretty much get him undrafted in every single league. He ranked 4th in running back targets and 12th in fantasy points per game last year, and totaled over 1,200 total yards, and that's just not going to go nowhere. To make this even better, he played through injury for some of last season, which made his efficiency bad. But most people that don't do the research will probably just think he's old and inefficient and won't look at him at all. He's still 28 years old and younger than Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry and a lot of the good running backs that are still in this league. But these are 3 super deep sleepers that you need to be looking for in your drafts. And in these late rounds, there's absolutely no risk to taking these guys. In the late rounds, you want to be shooting for straight upside because there's no point in playing it safe. Let me know what your favorite super deep sleeper running backs are that you've been targeting, and I'll see you guys in the next video.